Morning, Monday the 1st of November, and I'm just looking at the currency markets. When you look at the Aussie dollar versus the US dollar, we've been managing a very, very small recovery in well, I'm not really sure what trend this is. Clearly we went up and then we went down, and now we're having a bit of a recovery, but that doesn't really give me much of an indication for what's going to happen going forward for the Aussie dollar. So let's move swiftly on to the daily chart. Now that shows that recovery in a slightly better perspective through October, hitting the 50% fib, the longer term 50% fib here, which covered that full swing from the high up in, what was that now? That was 25th of February, all the way down to the low in August. Okay, and then it's been a very tricky recovery. Clearly this recovery failed bang on the 38.2% fib. We didn't quite retest the low. It's been the 500-day moving average that's been the big support at the moment, and then we really did have a nice run off there. Good trigger. Actually, when you look at the weekly chart, sorry, I'm going over a bit of old ground here, but worth having a look. The moving averages worked on the weekly chart as well. So that's been the platform for the springboard, I suppose I could call it, for this move higher. Now, we've run into some resistance here from the 50% fib and the 200-day moving average, the red line. That's brought us back down. We've got even what maybe I could argue that that's a double top. I know that this top is higher than the previous high, so maybe not so clear. Anyway, what is clear is that the 50% fib and the 200-day moving average is holding the market in overbought conditions. So let's have a look at the hourly charts. Probably not going to tell us too much. No, just starting to trade below the moving averages now. Look how well they are working. The 50 and the 200-day hour moving averages working really well as support and resistance, but just starting to break below there now. So maybe that's just putting a slightly more negative bias on this pair for now. Maybe some Aussie weakness coming in. I need to redraw that Fibonacci level. It's not 100% accurate, and I do like to be 100% accurate. So let me just put that on this little swing low here, up to the swing high here, and that gives us a support level at around sort of 74.65, 74.60. By the time we get there, the 100 period moving average on the 4-hour chart will also be lending support there. So that for me is going to be the key level today. You can see previously when we had the 23.6% fib just a little bit lower because we had the lower peak here, that level did hold, and that was actually a really good buy level for us, wasn't it? We did well on that trade. That was nice. But look, on the 4-hour chart, look how choppy it is. You know, literally red bar followed by a big blue bar, followed by a big red bar, followed by a big blue bar. So you get the picture. Really very choppy over the last week. That could continue. Obviously, the bears are trying to get control of this market after a good run up, but they're not fully succeeding. They're giving the bulls a tough time, but in this sort of erratic, random, volatile period, the market isn't getting any direction. So I would kind of sit it out, wait for a dip to the support level, maybe sell at this resistance level, which is certainly working, isn't it? We've got a peak up at 75.45 up to 75.55. That was my resistance level. You know why? Because I've shown it to you on the daily chart. I would just trade that range and then wait for a breakout because I'm not sure which way it's going to go yet. So the New Zealand dollar versus the US, and of course that support level down here around 71.40, 71.30 is working beautifully. I suggested that the market might start to trade sideways at the beginning of last week, and that's exactly what it has done. So that basically just keep doing something that works until it doesn't work. That's my opinion. Clearly, when you look at the hourly chart, we're very much in a sideways trend. We are very much having sideways moving averages, flatlining to indicate that we are in that sideways trend. When you look at the daily chart, well, I picked that 61.8% as my resistance level, and we'd have something of a double top on here, which you can also see on the 4-hour chart over here. So maybe when we break, it's more likely to be to the downside, but there's no point in guessing. We'll wait until the breakout happens. Until then, I'll be happy buying at that support level at 71.40, 71.30 with a stop below 71.20. Just as I say, just keep doing it until it works. The weekly chart really isn't saying an awful lot, other than we're really more of a sideways trend for this year than anything else. As you can see, there's the 500-week moving average giving us a good old resistance level up there. If we were to get as far as 72.50, 72.60, but we're not quite there yet. I'm going to move straight onto the Aussie Yen. What have we got here? Weekly chart. Okay, so that looks a little bit more positive. Well, certainly in the short term, we've had a great run up. We beat the previous high, which should mean that we can start pushing up, but we seem to have stalled. Now that isn't a double top, I don't think. We've got the second peak is too high, but we've got through the 500 week moving average, and that is now working as a support level. That's around 84.5, but we just seem to be unable to push higher. Now let me try and grab the daily chart. There we go. Daily chart, yeah, that bearish engulfing candle, I think that was on a Thursday before last. That was the thing that told me that we probably topped out and could continue to trade sideways. If you remember from my report back then, well, that did seem to be, that certainly has been the case. We are moving sideways. Moving average is flatlining there on the 1 hour chart. On the 4 hour chart, well, more difficult. Okay, these are the fib levels that are working, I suppose, around 85.00. Is this one working around 85.50? I could argue that it is. Not strong enough for me to put a trade on at those levels, I don't think. But if you're scalping for 50 pips and you want to try that, fair enough. For me, the big support level is down here around 84.40, 84.20. But to be honest with you, this right now isn't anything that I could do anything with. I'm just going to have to wait for that. Even the levels aren't even really being tested. So that one's tricky.